G'day everybody. Now I was just watching a little bit of mum walking around and some mums playing, and they're talking about Jesus, and she's in her little I think she's at the area where they do rehab and they have meetings about their alcoholism, and there's a lady there's a bit out there, skinny lady, white lady and her family, and a black lady that they see at these meetings, and she's talking about Jesus. And she's going, and you gotta go, boom! I started laughing a bit because I'm like, oh, that must be a thing sometimes. Because I tell you, you get this energy, right, where you do things like that. And then the other skinny lady's going, yeah, that's crazy. It's like, well, I don't know how you get those feelings. She goes, because that's crazy. And it's not. It all depends, really, when it comes to things like that, when it comes to faith and the feelings of getting Jesus within you to help you, besides the book. Right? And how their religion rolls, because their religion is a religion like Big Daddy that's a busy businessman, right? That's how I see it. And as I know, gone to atheists and been religion, grew up with religion, gone to atheists, checked out spiritual, um, tarot cards, all those kind of things, other ways of seeing things, dead, right? The way we celebrate, see dead, how do you see it? How do you feel? All that kind of stuff, right? And when it comes to some religions, their stories, they start off with something great, which is good, which helped out and helped give us guidelines on these stories in different countries, right? And you got to have hope because it's like a daddy on business trip or mummy, right? And so they looked after your life. And every now and then they go on business trips because every now and then they've got other places to go as the university, right? And you got to put it in this perspective. Kids like to give you questions about Santa Claus, don't they? Right? Because it's basic knowledge of what they've learnt, and they give you the basic question, which is the basic knowledge of the universe to keep things trucking. Right? Kids, that's why I talk about kids, and they can get to a certain education and ask questions. Yeah, you hate that, but it's good that they do because they're programming. And if you do it wrong, it programs in wrong, and then they try to reprogram it, and you know how that goes. It's harder to reprogram, like teach an old dog. Okay? Don't say it can't be done. It can just be harder in a lot of areas, besides the work, and you will work out your basic of using your common sense in areas as you learn education. And so when it comes to a lot of religions, you've got to have faith because Big Daddy's out there. It's like waiting on the police. You know, they go, the cops are coming if they come or whatever. Right? It helps you get time, makes you feel a little stronger that you got backup because that's what it's all about. Right? And they have faith that if it gets too bad, that something will back them up. We haven't gone to the end yet, or get to the parts where we've gone underground and it's nearly been to the end. Since these stories, and we've heard, and we look back with science and seen tragedies that the earth has had. Right? And all these tragedies have their stories all around the world. Same sort of tragedies, and they come up with similar stories. A lot of them, when they don't understand, they put it into the nature way of being or spiritual, as a lot of people mention, and can show proof about things. Not 100% until the time comes. It's usually a lot of spiritual. You get confirmation most of the time. It gives you warnings, but you don't understand. And some people do. Helps out in some areas, and some people don't. But it definitely gives you a lot of confirmation afterwards. You can see what you need to look for after it's happened. A little bit like how they study earthquakes and volcanoes, right? They still got a long way to go as they need it to do its thing to study it, you see. And that's what spiritual's like. That's how I see it too. And religion, mainly religion. Spiritual is a more closer thing, as spiritual in religion stories is spiritual that's part of it, spiritual aliens, if you look back in history and what they got to say, ancient aliens and all that kind of stuff. And which would be connected and true when it comes to someone that made the universe, right? And that flies around out there and governs things and controls things. And then there's bad guys that have left that govern corrupted, like been having corrupted police in your system or corrupted people in your government system, right? They cause a lot of havoc. That's what these religion stories say. And they pretty much say that this place was just another place like we want to go explore because you got to put it into how they've said it in these stories, and a lot of them say it. that were made in the image of them. So we like to explore. We would plant seeds. We would do experiments. We do right. And so if we do all that, well, where do we get that? What do they say? Oh, you get it from your father, right? So if that story is true in any way, we're not from here. We were brought here. That's why it makes sense with science, how we don't fit in, but we do relate as when we got here. And you experiment when it comes to experiments. And the 101 basic is to get something to adapt and to be able to fit in and adapt is that you use the DNA of things around them. Also help them not be so attacked towards them. Using their DNA might help them for you to connect with them, right? Besides having a bit of them in you. And you'd release a bean and study how that evolution happens. That's what you would do with that such a story. And when that story come, it could have been because this planet needed to, they helped it thrive after a bad incident of the dinosaurs. Because I don't think that, unless the number one god did it, but he has his other minions, and like I said, the lower ones and the aliens and the Michael and the angels, right? They're the ones that go around and govern and make shit happen and plant the seeds for him, right? In different areas, as you can say, Santa Claus help us, right? As Santa Claus was true at one stage, right? And Santa Claus could be true again. We keep Santa Claus alive with celebrating him by all being Santa Claus, right? And so we can do the same thing with that with religion, but we've got to make sure it's right. We change Santa Claus and the way we buy things and give gifts. It used to be you had to make a gift, right? Back in the day, they did. It was more from the heart, right? And give a gift or you worked for it, and it come from the heart because you're giving away your working earnings, right? So buying a gift. You can do the same thing with religion. That's what it is. You keep faith to the stories. I'm sure the people that come and go would understand that will be change when they come back, and they'll be quite curious. It's like a parent when you come back and haven't seen your kid for 5, 10 years, or off on a work job, doing another thing, moved away, and they come back and they go, they find out either you're good or better, right? When they come back. And that's what guidelines were left for. I believe that guidelines were left so when they come back, they'll go with their experiment, say, what do they do with that? Oh, they went that way. Shit. You know what I mean? They went that way with it. They're sending out a guest to tell us to come and see them. We thought they were ready, and we find out they're not. That bubble over there is, but it's a world thing. This thing of us connecting to the rest of the place, first you've got to have your household straight. You can't have your household connecting to the people out there. If you're crazy, you'll have things around your ankle, right? And stuff like that, or in another place because you can't interact out there as a family. And sometimes families can be punished together because one person did it and the other ones didn't want to say nothing or couldn't do nothing, so they get part of the problem, so they have to stay there. That's what tests are. People talk about tests all the time. Our test collectively is worldwide. How do we connect? How do we get along basically, right? Do we fight and carry on, or do we debate and use our mouth and do the wise things only, always first, last resort, because we're fighting a crazy group? Because it can happen. It's in genes. And check out science once again, why people could go crazy, right? But anyway, enough of all that. So that's what we do. When stories always started, there was always some sort of magical thing. Jesus had healing powers, and then because of that, they wanted to know, hey, check him out. If he's so great, he'll heal himself and that, and he didn't. And then they lost the gift of someone that could heal them and give them some wisdom. Besides, he could make things all right. He could make things, but he wasn't a pro at it because you can't be a pro at everything, right? But he had more of the wisdom to work out and be independent, because the main thing is really out there and to survive is to know what the independence is, get the basics. You don't see all the animals worrying about the new latest iPhone and stuff because they just live on the basics and have fun, right? Which is why I understand that if an Aboriginal group wanted to live like that, knock themselves out. People live like that. They left an island to live like that. Otherwise, they throw spears at you, and people will be worried about rocking up and getting their heads cut off. And if they rock up, they might just get their heads cut off, and no one's going to have to go save them because we're trying to interact with this last little species that does their own thing on an island. Have you ever seen that old doco? Right? I think they end up interacting further along or something. I'm not quite sure. But that was many, many, many years ago. About the last civilization, truly. They don't want nothing to do with us. They'll throw spears at us like we're crazy. God, people coming to get them. Right? But they're all happy and doing their thing. Probably don't suffer a lot of things we do. Because when it comes to suffering, as scientists are starting to learn, it's in your mind. You can, as people love to say on YouTube, you can manifest it. So if the devil wants you to suffer, he'll manifest that you to suffer. He'll make sure that you follow his ways, so you suffer, and then he'll make sure that you're looking for, like this show Mum said, about, what did she say? You're looking for another place to park your car. Oh God, you people are starving and all having all these problems, but God will find your parking space, she said. Right? You know how I interpretate that? I interpretate this planet, everyone's starving and carrying on and warring, but yet God will find all these people with money, as they say they're God, right? Will allow them to have rockets and try to look for somewhere else because they wrecked this place and have a hope for it. What do you reckon? Huh? The birds, hear that? And you don't often get that at night. But they reckon you could be onto something. Maybe their next one will be a downgrade, right? Because you wouldn't expect to get an upgrade from failures. But unless their bubble's been good for a while, God might just give them an upgrade. But if they done things over for their bubble, then God, more than likely, if he's a true person with righteous ways of balance, then more likely he'll give you a downgrade if you're lucky. If not, your ship will be a downgrade, or your bubble on a planet. Right? You used to bubbles anyway, so that's how we may have started in the first place when it comes to certain things. But besides being in a bubble, but if you go to Mars, you will be in a bubble, and that's the only place that we can believe without using faith and imagination about what we can create and science on paper. And paper and real world's two different things. Yeah, you'll be in a bubble. So anyway, have a good one, everybody. And I guess that's the worldwide test, how you go out there with all your bubbles and information, what you do with it. And if you're happy, you're happy. You can't change someone that's doing their thing. And if you're not, well, something to think about when it comes to things, and help you guide you and find where you need to be. And if you fit and believe in certain stories and they work with you, then work with it. If you don't, then you debate about things or leave it alone. So have a good one, everyone, and see you later.